Week 15 of the fantasy football season. Here's the top 15 tight ends I'm ranking this week. So we'll playoff week here for fantasy owners. This is a big week, obviously. Win or go home type of situation. First tight end, Trey McBride, the Arizona Cardinals. It's been a great season for Trey McBride. He's easily the number one tight end this season on the board in terms of fantasy points. And this week, even in a tough matchup at the Houston Texans, I still believe he's been a matchup-proof tight end all season long. And like I said, the best, he still could go out there and give you good production. Number 2, George Kittle of the San Francisco 49ers. So this week, a slam dunk matchup versus Tennessee Titans. And we saw the Titans last week give to Harold Fanning Jr. over 100 yards and found the end zone. So George Kittle, he's 100% healthy now. San Francisco coming off the bye, and I think this offense goes out there and has a big game, and Kittle's part of it, obviously. Number 3, Brock Bowers of the Las Vegas Raiders. So Brock Bowers, it's been an injury-plagued season at times this year, but he's still going out there producing numbers. He's still top 12 at the tight end position in points total in fantasy leagues. And also remember, he missed 3 games this season with a knee injury and wasn't 100% for half the season with that same injury. So this week, even in a tough matchup at the Philadelphia Eagles, one of the better defenses in the league, I think Bowers goes out there once again and gets his numbers. Number 4, Harold Fanning Jr. of the Cleveland Browns. So Harold Fanning having a great rookie season from the get-go this season. Pretty much he beat out David Njoku in this tight end room. And now Njoku's banged up. We don't know if he's going to play in this game this week. And this week it's a decent matchup with Harold Fanning. He has a great rapport with Shedeur Sanders, and they're going out there making plays for this Cleveland Brown team. Last week we saw the breakout game, like I said, and this week if they're trailing early and often in Chicago, he's easily the number 1 target in the passing game. Number 5, Kyle Pitts of the Atlanta Falcons. So Kyle Pitts, the last few weeks where he was doing nothing, and all of a sudden now he's been one of the better tight ends in fantasy football, and that has a lot to do with Drake London out over the last few games. We don't know if London's going to play 100% in this ball game because he didn't practice to begin the week. But like I said, Kyle Pitts and Kirk Cousins, they had the rapport going back to last season, and it's continued over the last few weeks since Cousins is back in the lineup with Penix out for the year. So this week in a matchup at Tampa Bay Thursday night, where it's usually high-scoring games, I think Pitts could go out there and put in another good performance. Number 6, Travis Kelce of the Kansas City Chiefs. So Kelce's still top 5 in fantasy points total at the tight end position. Last week, I know it was a tough loss versus the Houston Texans. He dropped the ball. It bounced up after he took a big hit and got picked, and that pretty much did it for the Kansas City Chiefs in that game. But this week, I think it's a bounce-back type of ball game here for Travis Kelce with the Los Angeles Chargers coming in, and this Charger defense last week gave up a good ball game to Dallas Goedert. So I think Travis Kelce, he'll go out there, he'll get his numbers in this ball game. And like I said, he's been a solid tight end, believe it or not, this season. Number 7, Dalton Kincaid of the Buffalo Bills. Kincaid, he returned to the lineup last week, and he had a big game finding the end zone. And he's the number 2 option in this passing game for this Buffalo Bill team is Dalton Kincaid. This week, it's going to be a high-scoring game, I believe, at Gillette Stadium. And if they lose this game, obviously, they're not going to have a shot of winning the division. So this is a big game all around. And Kincaid last week went out there, made plays. And like I said, he's a big option in this passing game. Number 8, Tyler Warren of the Indianapolis Colts. So obviously it's going to be a mystery who's going to be a quarterback. If it's going to be Leonard, if it's going to be Brett Rypien, or it's going to be Phillip Rivers, newly signed at 44 years old for this Indianapolis Colts team. But either way, I think it's going to be a long day for this Colts team versus one of the better defenses in the league at Seattle. But someone's going to have to go out there, catch the ball, and make plays. And if it's one of those younger quarterbacks, or even Phillip Rivers by chance, the quarterback, I think Tyler Warren will get peppered with targets as a security blanket and a safe throwing option at the Seattle Seahawks. Number 9, Juwan Johnson of the New Orleans Saints. So Juwan Johnson, he's the number 2 option in the passing game for this New Orleans Saints team. This week, a decent matchup, Carolina coming in. I know the defense has had some good moments at times this season, but Tyler Shough, a young quarterback's been relying on the tight end position, and Chris Olave and Chuck's going out there making plays and getting Juwan Johnson the football. So this week versus the Carolina Panthers coming in, I think Johnson could go out there and have a good game, and he's been a solid tight end all season long. Number 10, Jake Ferguson of the Dallas Cowboys. So Ferguson, the last couple weeks, I know the numbers haven't been great, especially since CeeDee Lamb returned to the lineup for the Cowboys over a month ago where he was out for a while. Now we know Lamb's banged up again, and we don't know 100% if he's going to play, but he's progressing well, according to head coach Schottenheimer for this Dallas Cowboy team. But I think this week versus Minnesota, he's going to find some openings in the middle of the field. I know the targets points went down, but Ferguson's still a solid tight end in my opinion, that could go out there and help fantasy owners. Number 11, Dallas Goedert of the Philadelphia Eagles. So this week, tight end, you could see the depth at the tight end position now with every team playing. And Goddard last week finally had a good game for this Philadelphia Eagle team, where the last few weeks prior to that, he didn't do much. He wasn't getting targeted the football a lot. It's been the A.J. Brown show over the last 4 weeks for this Philadelphia Eagle team. And this week it is a good matchup versus the Vegas Raiders, a defense that can't stop anyone. So I don't think the ceiling's that high for Goddard, but still a tight end that could go out there and produce top 12 numbers. Number 12, Brenton Strange of the Jacksonville Jaguars. So Strange, he's been a consistent target all season long in the passing game. In the games he's been healthy for this Jacksonville Jaguar team. So last week he had a touchdown called back on an offensive hold, or it would have been a bigger game, obviously, for Strange. But this week it's a good matchup with the New York Jets coming in. And like I said, Strange's been consistent all season in the games he's played, and him and Trevor Lawrence definitely have a good rapport. 13, Dalton Schultz of the Houston Texans. So Schultz last week, another tight end as well, who had a touchdown call back on a holding play. It would have been a 14-yard touchdown. So Schultz, we know he can run routes. We know he's a good yard after catch play. And this week it is a good matchup versus the Arizona Cardinals that really can't stop anyone. And also as well, he's the number 2 option in this passing game, in my opinion, behind Nico Collins. So with all those factors, I think Schultz is a decent starting option this week for fantasy owners. 14, Isaiah Likely of the Baltimore Ravens. So we know Mark Andrews, he's been the starter for many seasons. We also know he got a nice contract extension a couple weeks ago, is Mark Andrews. But Isaiah Likely's been the number 2 target in this offense, and arguably the number 1 target over the last month overall, before Zay Flowers had that breakout game last week. So I think Isaiah Likely this week in a good matchup with the Cincinnati Bengals, a defense that can't stop anyone, could go out there and have a good game. And like I said, he's getting peppered with targets. He's a big target in the red zone. We've seen flashes from him on and off over the last couple seasons. And I think this week he's a good option. In the 15th and final tight end I'm ranking is Hunter Henry of the New England Patriots. In this offense, the football spreads out a lot. You don't know which week it's going to be Stephon Diggs having a good game, Hunter Henry, Kayshon Boutte. But like I said, this offense is consistent. It's putting up points. The Patriots, one of the best teams, obviously, in the league. And Hunter Henry, the last couple weeks, has gone out there where big performances are coming off by, and a decent matchup versus Buffalo coming in. I think Henry, once again, is a top 15 option. So that's a top 15 tight ends I'm ranking for week 15 of the fantasy football season.